Good afternoon. Welcome once again to Joliet, Illinois, down on TI Physical Therapy Field at Joliet Memorial Stadium. It's the University of St. Francis taking on St. Ambrose University in CCAC men's soccer. We just saw the women's teams face off with St. Ambrose victorious 3-0. And now the men's sides get a chance at it as St. Francis looks to get on the board with a win in today's matchup. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's game. Saints have been playing well of late. They've picked up points in 4 of their last 6 matches, and they've evened up their record in conference to 500. We'll see if they can keep their good play going today against a St. Ambrose team that has struggled for the most part in CCAC play. The Saints are on the field in gold and white. The Bees are in light blue, and we're underway with St. Francis getting the first kick of the game. Back on the defensive side is Jack Conway, rolling it ahead to Diego Cortez and getting it back along that sideline right at midfield. Taken away by St. Ambrose. Toby Beerley loses it out of bounds. Last touched by Beerley, so it's a throw-in for the Fighting Saints. St. Francis comes into today's match with an overall record of 3-8-1. Not a lot of success in non-conference play this year for the Saints, but they've turned things around lately. They're 3-3-1 with 10 points in conference play and right around the middle of the pack right now in the CCAC. So they've got a chance to make a move late in the season, taking on a St. Ambrose team that has a better overall record. 4 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws this year. But St. Ambrose just 1-5-1 in the conference this year. So St. Francis comes into this one as the favorite, I suppose, in CCAC terms. But it's anybody's game in really what should be a pretty evenly matched contest today. The free kick is sent away into the box. Carson Heglund steps up and makes an uncontested play on a couple of hops. Carson Heglund making the start in goal today. The junior this season has allowed 9 goals in 7 games played, a 1.48 average, an .813 save percentage. Heglund has been the primary goalkeeper of late for the Fighting Saints. There's a nice play by Santos Contreras at midfield to take the ball away for the Saints as he sends it down the near sideline. Long run for Jesus Flores comes up short as the ball is lost out of bounds. Good play defensively by Nathan Lukasik of St. Ambrose. Let's read the rest of the starting lineups. For the home team, it's Isaac Avalos, Sergio Fernandez Arango, Zakar Skidchenko, Leonardo Haro, Diego Cortez, Jesus Flores, Eric Vega, Santos Contreras, Roberto Centino, and Jack Conway in front of the goalkeeper Carson Heglund, who has already been involved today. St. Ambrose's goalkeeper Piercarlo Ricosa has not, although the Saints are trying to challenge him here, but a good defensive play by the Bees does not allow it. That's Nathan Lukasik stepping in and taking that ball away again. Lukasik is starting for St. Ambrose along with Toby Beerley, Joseph Gaither, Mitchell Petrosky, Noah Secor, David Morsey, Ricky Rueda, Rory Hannon, Justin Tackett, and David Kramer. Here's your starting 11s for today's game. Ball is sent off towards the sideline for a St. Ambrose throw-in. Lukasik on the back end passes back to the goalkeeper Ricosa, senior from South Elgin, Illinois, northwest of Chicago. Battle here is won by St. Ambrose, at least in the short term, but Isaac Avalos steps in and clears it for the Fighting Saints. Now the ball popped up into the air just in front of midfield for the Saints, and the Bees knock it back the other way. Sent along the sideline, and that ball drifts out of bounds. It's a warm day here on October 9th, about 20 degrees above average, with temperatures hovering around the low 80s right now. Sunny skies overhead. Sun will be on its way down throughout today's game. There's a miss on the slide from Cortez. The cross is intercepted and cleared. And pushed out of bounds by Lukasik, so a throw in for St. Francis. So it'll be a warm one throughout this contest, but the sun will be on its way down throughout the second half, so it won't be quite as hot as it was a little bit earlier in the day. There's Flores tapping it up the middle, brought in by Mitchell Petrosky of St. Ambrose. Petrosky passes off to the right side. Noah Secor rolls it in front of him. And St. Ambrose slows things down. They play the game at the midfield level, trying to set up a sustained possession here, pushing it all the way back defensively to their goalkeeper, Piercarlo Ricosa, and they really lost track of that possession. Ends up going out of bounds. A couple of panicked kicks defensively from St. Ambrose as they had control of the ball across midfield. And just kept going further and further back until finally they just pushed it out. It's now a chance for St. Francis. They've got control of the ball. Back to midfield. This is Conway. Conway pushes it ahead for Skidchenko. Zakar Skidchenko, the team's leading scorer this season, loses it to Lukasic. Lukasic knocks the ball out of bounds. Deep towards the corner. St. Francis will get a throw in. Conway, who is playing his 7th collegiate game. Freshman out of Oswego East High School. Steps in to make the throw. Lobs it into the box. Knocked back towards that end line, and Ricosa steps in and makes the play. No save there for Ricosa. It was well wide of the net. No shot taken, but he was able to jump in, get himself involved, and make sure that the Saints weren't able to get a shot off. Just over 5 minutes into the action here. Conway heads it out into the seats. St. Ambrose is looking for a doubleheader sweep after the St. Ambrose women's team was able to take out St. Francis earlier this afternoon 3-0. And in that game, they scored the game winner just 3 minutes in. They're trying to score an early goal here on the men's side. That shot drifts just over the net. Nice attempts from Rory Hannon. Hannon tries to curl it around Carson Heglund's outstretched arms, but just a little bit over the crossbar, maybe a tad wide as well, but a close call right there. A good-looking shot from Hannon, the senior from New Zealand. He comes up empty on the first attempt of the game for St. Ambrose, and we remain scoreless. Still very early in this one. Conway steps up to throw it in just across midfield. Lobs it in off the chest of Skidchenko into the middle of the field for Contreras, but it's knocked the other direction. A run for Hannon. Hannon tries to control it off his head, and he does. Loses it off the first touch. Gets possession back. Now rolled to the right side. Here comes David Morsey, sending it into the box, headed away by the Saints. Ball rolls back to Ricky Rueda. Rueda between two defenders finds Joseph Gaither, gets it right back. Headed towards the sideline and knocked downfield by the Fighting Saints. Nice defense by the Saints right there. Sergio Fernandez Arango able to help clear it and knock it out of bounds off of St. Ambrose. So the throw comes in from St. Francis. USF working down the field across midfield where it's picked off by the defense of St. Ambrose. Despite the slip, David Kramer is able to roll it ahead. Rory Hannon. Hannon challenged, loses the ball. Now it's the Saints at midfield. Sent down across the field, long run Skidchenko. Skidchenko once off the head, tried to control it and take the shot, but he was offsides. So no shot there from Zakar Skidchenko. The offsides flag went up immediately, and we've got a free kick coming up for St. Ambrose, scoreless, 8 minutes into the action. St. Francis fell at Olivet Nazarene on Tuesday night. It was a 2-1 loss. And that snapped what had been a 2-game winning streak for them, in which they had outscored their opposition 9-2. There's a cross that goes across behind the net. So it's out of bounds. The goal kick belongs to the Fighting Saints. 6 of those 9 goals that they scored during that 2-game stretch were at Calumet, who currently sits at 1-6 in conference play, but 9 goals in 2 games, pretty impressive for the Saints. They were held to just 1 their last time out. But they've got their goal differential down to -5. It was pretty ugly early in the season. They've certainly turned things around in conference play. Here's Skidchenko along the sideline. Nice job stopping, getting 2 defenders behind him. He runs into a third, has to slow things down. Pass back to Conway. Conway boots it into the box. And we've got a whistle and a foul called. And where was this foul called? I think it's going to be just outside the box. So I don't believe we've got a penalty kick here for Ricky Rueda. Excuse me, I don't think that was Rueda who pulled down Fernandez Arango. Might have been Lukasic. Ball is set up just about a foot or so outside of the penalty area. So the Saints, who have had 7 penalty kicks this year, are not going to get an 8th right here. But still a chance for Zakhar Skidchenko. Right in the middle of the field, only about 18.5 yards out, just outside the box here. Skidchenko approaches, takes the shot on the ground, rolls it right into the wall set up by St. Ambrose, and the Bees are able to clear it. So against one of the better scorers in the conference, St. Ambrose is able to stay strong on that free kick, not allow the goal. It remains 0-0 now, just over 10 minutes in. And this foul is called against St. Francis, so a free kick belongs to St. Ambrose. Bees do their job on a very tough play. Even prior to that foul that was called just outside the box, St. Francis had been knocking at the door with a couple of good-looking runs from Zakhar Skidchenko. This free kick sent deep down the field into the box. Hannon tries to keep it in bounds and does. Now Hannon looking for some help, but it's deflected away from him. And Avalos is able to clear it. Nice defense by Isaac Avalos. Now it's Fernandez Arango setting it up for Skidchenko. He rolls it down the field. Long run along the sideline and just a little bit too far out in front of Jesus Flores, who tried to make the run on that ball. Out of bounds for a St. Ambrose throw. St. Francis is getting aggressive offensively. Couple of good runs these last few minutes. None of them have resulted in goals. They'll try to keep on it against the St. Ambrose team that has been struggling over the last few weeks. Conway wrestles his way in front of Hannon and knocks it out of bounds. Ricky Rueda sets it up for the free kick. Conway was called for the foul for that shove he gave to get around Hannon. So just on the plus side of midfield, Rueda gets the kick. Everybody in position. Rueda sends it off down the middle of the field. Deflected into the box. There's a pass to the left side. A shot goes wide. A good look for Justin Tackett. Not able to finish it off, though. Tackett was left unchecked. A good pass by David Morsey to find him. And Tackett, the sophomore forward from East Peoria, Illinois, came up a little bit off the mark. Saints catch a bit of a break there on what was a really good chance for St. Ambrose. But it's still 0-0. Still early in this one. Bees get a throw in here. It's Toby Bierle from Germany. Freshman, one of several Germans on the team. Lobbed in front of the net. Deflected away. Now a shot goes over the net from Mitchell Petrosky and out of bounds. That's the third time today that St. Ambrose has had a good look at the net. And just wished it were about 3 feet higher. Petrosky had that one. Justin Tackett had one a few minutes ago. Rory Hannon, a little earlier today, had an opportunity on a pretty good shot that went over the net as well. So 3 shots, no chances for Heglund to make a save, but all of them very nearly breaking the shutout. Nice challenge by Santos Contreras. Contreras sets it up off to the right side at Skidchenko. Skidchenko with 2 defenders on him, rolls it all the way down into the corner, trying to turn it back towards the middle, and has it deflected out of bounds. Throw in coming up from the corner for the Fighting Saints. Conway comes back up down the field to throw it in. Lobbed into the box. Pushed away by Petrosky. Conway steps up, battling Hannon for that ball. Hannon wins it. Now Tackett to the sideline. Bierle loses it to Contreras. Contreras down to the corner, long run. Fernandez Arango can't get there. It's out of bounds for a St. Ambrose throw. Sergio Fernandez Arango, freshman from Madrid, was named the Conference Player of the Week, the first such award in the career of the first-year player. That was for that week that St. Francis outscored their opponents 9-2 with back-to-back wins. So no shocker that a Saint was given that honor. 7 points in the week for Fernandez Arango. You could probably pretty easily given it to Shkichenko as well. He had 4 goals on the week himself. Beerley tosses it in down the sideline. Conway deflects it right back out. A little over 15 minutes in. Both teams looking for their first goal of the afternoon. St. Ambrose has had the better chances early on. They've had 3 shots that went just over the net. Hannon trying to set up another one here. He sends it downfield out of bounds, but before that, there was a whistle, and we'll get a free kick for the Fighting Saints. Or just a throw-in, so it went out of bounds. That's the cause of the whistle. Lukasik heads it back the other way, off of the head of Tackett. Conway sets it up for Contreras for the Saints. Across midfield, looking for Fernandez Arango. Not there, deflected out of bounds. And it's a throw-in for the Saints. Headed into the air by Tackett. Skidchenko keeps it alive for the Saints, but the Bees take it back. Here's Beerley streaking down the middle of the field, looking ahead for Hannon, but Hannon stumbled after a collision with Isaac Avalos, so the Saints are able to take it away. Diego Cortez passes off to Skidchenko, near sideline. He runs into Rueda, somehow keeps the ball alive though. Skidchenko makes his way to the middle, passing off to the left side. The ball is chased down along the sideline by Fernandez Arango. Tapped out of bounds by the team in blue. St. Francis throw in here, far side of the field. They look to challenge Piercarlo Racosa. Racosa has not yet been forced to make a save. Doesn't need to make a save here, but as the throw dribbles towards him, he slides in as the ball finds its way into the box, and he makes a stop, preventing the St. Francis runs. The Saints continue to look for their first shot on goal tonight. There's a header off towards the sideline, bounced out of bounds by St. Francis. Hannon taps it behind him, controlled by Joseph Gaither. And Rueda taps it towards the sideline. St. Ambrose mounts their attack from the defensive side. Rueda loses it off his foot. Skidchenko tried to take it away. He stumbled, and Skidchenko is called for the foul. Trying to trip up Rueda after Skidchenko himself started to fall to the ground. He tried to take Rueda down with him. And that got the whistle to blow. And now it's a free kick for St. Ambrose. Here's Diego Cortez rolling it ahead to Zakar Skidchenko. With 2 defenders in his way, they take it away. Beerley and Rueda make the stop. They do it together. Ball pushed ahead to Hannon. Hannon can't keep it in bounds as he and Leonardo Haro get tangled up and both tumble to the ground with the ball going out for a St. Francis goal kick. Heglund, the 6'4" tall junior goalkeeper, boots it off towards the far sideline and pushes it out of bounds. So St. Francis gives up possession quickly here. St. Ambrose resumes their attack down the far sideline to Hannon. Hannon tries to turn it upfield, deflects it off of Leonardo Haro out of bounds. David Morsey leaves the ball back for Justin Tackett. Tackett will take the running start here before throwing it in. Sent towards the near post. Jack Conway headed it back the other direction, and out this time the back line rather than the sideline. So we'll get a corner kick for St. Ambrose. The Bees have had the lion's share of the scoring chances here in the first half, and now they get a chance from the corner as Rueda sets it up. Rueda sends it in front of the net, over the net, and passed to the near side and out of bounds. So he sends it past everybody, ends up going straight out of bounds. I said over the net. I guess I meant past the net. Never went over the net, but he was trying to find somebody's head, I think, in front of the net, and instead just zoomed it by everybody. Along the sideline, that bounces out. Throw in for St. Francis. Tossed in by Roberto Centino. And a foul called on the Bees. From just past midfield, it's Leonardo Haro's free kick. Haro sends it down into the box. Gets it by the first line of defense. So the second line deflects it back, and the shot goes over the net. So a shot taken by Diego Cortez. Cortez just pushed it way too high. Off the deflection from a St. Ambrose defender. Set up a pretty good opportunity for Cortez there as the ball rolled right into his waiting foot without a defender immediately in front of him. He had a chance but was not able to score. The referees get together and talk some things over as the clock stops at 23:38 remaining in the first half. Ricky Rueda is called over for a discussion. I'm not sure what precipitated this. It was the line judge over on the near side that ended up noticing this. Rueda and Lukasic both talking things over with the referee. Yeah, I didn't see what happened that set this up, but the play was stopped, and then after the line judge and the referee had a talk for a few seconds, they called over Rueda and Lukasic and are talking to the two of them. The play that preceded this was a free kick for St. Francis. It was sent in, deflected away by the St. Ambrose defense, right back to Diego Cortez. Cortez took the shot, sailed over the net and out of bounds, and that is what set up the goal kick. And so now we're back underway with the goal kick. So whatever conversation they needed to have has been had, and we're ready to keep playing. Fernandez Orango dueling with Toby Beerley for the ball there. Beerley knocked it out. Throw in down the sideline. Contreras heads it into the box. Tap towards the back line and rolled to the sideline instead, out of bounds on St. Ambrose. Saints get a throw here from Conway down in the corner. Sent in front of the net and kicked out of bounds. So another chance for Cortez. He's taken two shots in the last minute. One of them went way high. That one grounded on him. Didn't get the touch that he was looking for and ended up rolling it straight out of bounds to the left of the goal. We're still scoreless, just about halfway through this first half now. All the way down to the box. Easy pickup for Carson Heglund. Heglund will send it the other way. Walks back towards the middle of the field and rolls it out in front of him. Isaac Avalos will get this charge started for the Fighting Saints. Conway's pass is intercepted. Joseph Gaither Pushes to Tackett on the left side. Across the field, long run to the far side. David Morrissey can't track it down. It goes out of bounds. Saints, at least in the short term, are able to reverse possession to their side. On the sideline, it's Morrissey. Morrissey dueling with Eric Vega. There's the cross in front of the net. And we got a foul on St. Ambrose. I think that's on Hannon. Leonardo Haro was on the ground. He may have been pushed from behind by Hannon. Hannon trying to create a little separation. And the shove came a little bit too hard. Haro tumbled to the turf. Foul is called, and it's a free kick for the Saints. Heglund sends it away. Ball got caught up in the wind just a little bit. Not a dramatic breeze blowing, but it is blowing at the backs of St. Ambrose right now. Cross field a little bit. Blowing from east to west, meaning it's coming towards us. Pushed out of bounds by Lukasic. It has been a breezy day, but not too many strong gusts that have significantly impacted play on the field. Rueda clears it back into the middle. It bounces across midfield. Leonardo Haro steps up, sends it back the other direction. On the far side, Haro's kick goes out of bounds. The throw in along the sideline is deflected back in St. Francis' direction. And we've got another whistle. Looks like a foul coming up on the defense. So a free kick for the Fighting Saints. This one is about 10 yards further downfield than their last free kick, which resulted in a pretty good shot attempt off of a deflection. Diego Cortez's shot ended up sailing over the net, but they were able to get a good look. Contreras has the free kick. On its way in front of the net, deflected by the defense, and a foul called on the Saints. That one goes against Leonardo Haro, who was jostling for position just a little bit too hard. And so the free kick does not lead to a shot attempt this time for the Fighting Saints. It leads to a quick turnaround, and St. Ambrose able to send it away. Deflects out of bounds. St. Ambrose gets the throw. It's Toby Beerley. Joseph Gaither trying to control it, but with tough defense in front of him, he has to pass it back to his defense, and Nathan Lukasic. Deflected to the middle of the field. This is Contreras. Contreras sends it ahead for Skidchenko. He's offsides. Just barely off there by maybe a half a step. And if that flag had not gone up, Skidchenko had a clean run at the net. Oh, I guess that's the whole point of offsides, to prevent those clean runs. But just about a half step too fast. Skidchenko denied the opportunity of going for his 14th goal of the season. Instead, here comes St. Ambrose. Haro stops that run. Right back to Ricky Rueda, though. Rueda dribbles off to the left side. Rueda rolls it through, maybe a little bit too far out in front of Justin Tackett. Tackett's not able to catch up to it. Out of bounds. Ball ahead for Skidchenko again, working against the goalie. Rakosa comes way out of the box and decides to go at it with his head. He gets there just in front of Skidchenko and forces the ball back to the other side, and the goalie Carson Heglund. Dangerous play there by Rakosa. Skidchenko could really run, and you think he got to that ball faster than Rakosa was expecting him to. So Rakosa really at that point had no chance but to keep coming out. Made it, I think, more than 5 yards out of the box. Ended up on a bounce, playing it off his head, keeping the shutout intact. Play remains alive for St. Ambrose as they work it forward to the outside. Long run for Beerley. He can't get to it. Out for a throw-in for St. Francis. 17 minutes or so to play in the first half. He remains scoreless. Another long run for Skidchenko. Skidchenko gets to that ball in front of Kramer, takes the shot, and it's just wide to the right. Great run for Zakhar Skidchenko. David Kramer seemed to be in position to make that stop, but as he ran after that ball, Skidchenko just simply outran him. He blew by Kramer and was able to get his foot on the ball, but he pushed it wide of the net. And that sets up the goal kick for St. Ambrose. So the Bees maybe have had a few more scoring chances than the Saints have had this half, but that was probably the best one for either side. Now a chance for Hannon comes up empty, too far out in front of him, and Heglund's able to pick it up. So we're still scoreless. St. Francis and St. Ambrose battling in Joliet today. Big game for both teams as the Saints try to pull their way up in the conference standings, solidify their chance at a spot in the tournament. There's a cross knocked away by Kramer, and he's able to push it ahead to David Morsey and clear it for the Bees. Foul is called on St. Francis here, so St. Ambrose will be able to push it further downfield. For St. Ambrose, speaking of that conference tournament, they need to start piling up wins. Only a few games remaining after today. They're running out of time to put themselves back in the conversation for it. St. Francis came into play today tied with Trinity Christian for 8th place in the conference. So right in the middle. 7 teams in front of them, 6 teams behind. Well, 5 teams behind. Tied with Trinity Christian. Substitution for St. Ambrose, Spencer Pyle. Junior forward checks in. Joseph Gaither heads out. Santos Contreras goes to the ground as he gets his feet locked up with Spencer Piles, and Pyle barely into the game, already called for a foul. Free kick from Avalos. Headed back the other way. Chipped off to the right side. This is Skidchenko working his way back. Trying to get around Rueda. And we're going to get a foul on Rueda here. And it looks like a yellow card on Ricky Rueda. Yellow card given to Ricky Rueda with 14 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the first half. And St. Francis is going to get a free kick from 35 yards out, right along the near sideline. That's the right sideline for St. Francis. Chad Holmer, second-year head coach of the Fighting Bees, wants to get a quick explanation before this free kick is coming up. Rueda called for the trip on Skidchenko, and it'll be Zakhar Skidchenko who takes the free kick here. 13 goals on the season for Zakhar Skidchenko. He's had 2 good chances in today's game, one of them a free kick from just outside the box. And now another free kick, this one from the sideline. Instead of putting it on goal, he sends it towards the far side for Fernandez Arango. He's got him now, turning back towards the field. There's a pass and intercepted. Nice defense from St. Ambrose. Ball still loose in front of the net. Cortez sends it off towards the sideline. And it's pushed down towards that corner. St. Francis able to keep it alive. Saints still looking for the cross. St. Ambrose still stepping up defensively. Kramer intercepts this attempt at a cross and clears it for the Bees. Good defensive stand for the Fighting Bees after the Saints came at them for better than 30 seconds. They pushed and pushed, never even got a shot off. That's how strong the defense was for St. Ambrose. The Bees try to counter now. Beerley can't get it. It's out of bounds. Sub coming on for the Saints. Mariano Caturba is in. Eric Vega heads out for now. Conway throws it in. Over the head of his intended target, Contreras, and it's pushed back the other way by St. Ambrose. It bounces a couple of times into the box, where Carson Heglund is there to pick it up. Good game here between St. Francis and St. Ambrose, a conference matchup. Scoreless battle so far. St. Ambrose had some chances early. They had 3 shots that went just over the net, within a couple of feet over the net. Saints' best opportunity of the game, their 2 best opportunities, I would argue, came from Zakhar Skidchenko. One on a free kick just outside the box, dead center. He was not able to get it past the wall of defenders for St. Ambrose. Skidchenko is called for a foul on this attack. So he forces Beerley to the ground. The other great chance for Skidchenko came on a great run with the ball out in front of him and David Kramer. It looked like the defender was in position to knock it away from Skidchenko, but he just outran him. Skidchenko blew by Kramer, got to the ball, took a shot, and it was just wide to the right of the net. So Piercarlo Ricosa still has not been challenged in the goal, but same deal with Carson Heglund. He's had a few that have come very close that he's had to sweat, even if he himself was not involved. Heglund is involved here, not a save, but he steps up to the edge of the box and makes the play. He punts it away right down the middle of the field and across the midfield circle, where it's deflected back by St. Ambrose. Here's Haro sending it down the sideline to Skidchenko, just a little bit out in front of him. Skidchenko missed it by inches there as the ball drifts out of bounds. Hayden Newton, the freshman midfielder from Michigan, comes in for St. Ambrose, giving Rory Hannon a breather. Hannon's been very active early in this game. We're about 34 minutes into it now. Here's Newton on the run. Newton spins it along the sideline, keeps his momentum going forward. There's the cross. The ball being dribbled out in front of the net. Heglund jumps near it, and the ball is poked out of bounds off the side of the net. So the Saints dodge another bullet. Looked like a good setup for St. Ambrose. They just couldn't get a clean shot off. There was a lot of dribbling back and forth right in front of the net, right in front of the St. Francis defense. And Heglund tried to jump into the play late. The ball was pushed past him, but along the side of the net, out of bounds. Again, no shot on goal there. Dominic Barwolik is in for the Saints. Barwolik comes in for Sergio Fernandez Orengo. Saints look for an offensive spark here late in the first half. They'd love to carry a lead into the intermission. They've had some chances. They'll have a free kick here, but back on the defensive side. Played back to Carson Heglund. Heglund sends it off to the right side. Conway down the middle to Contreras. A header from Contreras looking for Barwolik. A little bit too far out in front of him. Lukasic's able to send it away. Cortez against 2 defenders forced off the ball, but it finds its way to Jesus Flores. Far side of the field, Centino pushes it forward, gets it back. Centino now goes down the middle to Contreras, just over the head of Contreras. Skidchenko works his way in there, but Lukasic deflects it, and it's knocked away by Tackett down the sideline. Throw goes into Conway. Conway pushes it in front of the net, off the head of Contreras to the back line and bouncing out of bounds. Goal kick coming up. Contreras not quite able to direct his header the way he wanted to. Still 0-0. The Saints come up empty on that attack. Ball sent away from the goalkeeper, Ricosa. Battle for it near midfield. Tap back onto the offensive side for St. Francis, but the defense for the Bees jumps in, pushes it downfield, bounces into the box, and picked up by Heglund. Heglund takes his time to get this one set up and now sends it away off the ground. Back over to David Morrissey of St. Ambrose. Deflected back the other way. Contreras pushes it to the left side. Barwolik pushes in front of the net, and Lukasic is there to clear it for St. Ambrose. Here's Tackett racing up. Tackett against Conway. Conway knocks it off of Tackett out of bounds, and the throw-in belongs to the Saints. Nice defensive play by Jack Conway that time. Conway throws it in again. This time finds Barwolik. Deflected towards the sideline. Katurba works it to his left, and Diego Cortez. Lukasic takes it away, clears it to midfield. Isaac Avalos steps up, heads it back in St. Francis' direction, and Tackett pushes it high into the air and out of bounds. Throw in for Conway. Back to Cortez. Skidchenko sends it down the middle of the field. Blake Beery clears it for St. Ambrose. Bees have been able to stifle the last few St. Francis attacks. It's been a few minutes since we've seen our last scoring chance for either side. This has been a very competitive 0-0 game. Very evenly matched so far. Saints trying to uneven that match, at least on the scoreboard. The ball bounces out. Ricosa makes the catch after it crosses over the back line. He sets it up for the goal kick. Sam Flello, freshman who came in from Worcester, England, comes in for David Morrissey. So Flello out there in the midfield for St. Ambrose now. St. Francis' defense steps up to midfield. There's Beerley. Over to his left. Down the sideline, Hayden Newton. Newton with two defenders in his way. Loses it out of bounds. Newton the last one to touch it. Just over 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Conway and the Saints get a throw in. At midfield, Saints will toss it in again. Trying to break this scoreless tie in the last few minutes before halftime. St. Francis is looking for their 5th straight positive decision out of their last 7 matches. 3-2-1 their last 6 times out. Here's Conway making a stop in front of the net. Lost his footing, nearly a chance for Tackett there, rather for Newton there. But he's not able to get to the ball and get the shot off. Saints are able to clear it. Now Skidchenko, nifty ball work near the sideline, keeps it in bounds, but nothing going forward for the Saints. Beerley tosses it in. Taken away by Cortez, or Flores rather. Lukasic intercepted by Leonardo Haro. Haro on the far side of the field. Sends the ball down to Skidchenko, who is offsides, and there's the whistle. Skidchenko called for another offsides there. Free kick for St. Ambrose. Ricosa steps all the way up from the net. About 15 yards out of the box and sends it off towards Hayden Newton. Deflected towards the sideline. Katurba on the far side of the field. Deflects off Newton again, out of bounds. Throw in for St. Francis. Midfield circle, it's Kramer. For St. Ambrose, back to Lukasik, and all the way back to the goalkeeper. Ricosa waits for the St. Francis offense to close in. Now he sends it downfield. Now the St. Francis defense closes in. Hayden Newton able to take it away for St. Ambrose. The Bees work it to the far side of the field. Ball sent into the box and right at Carson Heglund from Noah Secor. An easy stop for Heglund. I think that was intended to be a pass, but it ended up going straight on goal. And Secor is halted, as the Bees are. Skidchenko loses it off the first touch, but he gets it right back off the touch from Justin Tackett. Downfield looking for Barwolik, but too far out in front of him. Ricosa playing well outside the net. Easily got to that ball before Barwolik did. Here's Kramer. Back to Ricosa. St. Ambrose plays it off the defensive side, just going back and forth. Skidchenko finally starts to bear down on Ricosa, and he sends it forth to Beerley. Now Beerley, good individual run down the field. Passes it to the far side. Long run for Noah Secor in the corner. Secor can't catch up with it. Out of bounds for a St. Francis throw. Roberto Centino will do the honors. Centino down the sideline, has it deflected out. St. Ambrose puts the ball back in play. Deflected by Contreras out of bounds. Just about the final minute of play in the first half. Looks most likely we'll have a scoreless tie into halftime, but St. Ambrose will have an opportunity here to change that. They've got one or two more attacks left in them. Well, got at least one more throw in them. It's Noah Secor lobbing it into the box, picked up on a bounce by Heglund. Skipped that one past everybody he was looking for. So Heglund will get a chance to punt it away and set up one final attack here in the first half for St. Francis. Deflected to Skidchenko, who keeps it up in the air. Tackett knocks it away from him. Playing it back and forth on the headers, and now finally St. Ambrose takes control. Rolled across midfield to Newton. Newton to his left. Flello sends it ahead to Tackett. One touch by Newton, back to Tackett in the corner, out of bounds for a goal kick, and no need to take it. Final 10 seconds here. Saints can let the clock roll out, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do here. So it's come to halftime in Joliet, and St. Francis and St. Ambrose are knotted up. Zeros all across. A good game so far, very competitive between these two teams. It's been evenly matched up to this point. We'll see if any halftime adjustments are made to change that in the second 45-minute segment. 15 minutes between now and the start of the second half. I'll step aside for halftime. No score. St. Ambrose, St. Francis, the conclusion coming up soon. It's the start of the second half here in Joliet. St. Francis and St. Ambrose tied up. No score between these two teams. It was a very evenly matched first half. And neither team had too many great scoring chances. There were a few of them for both sides, although neither goalkeeper really got too involved. There was only one shot on goal between the two teams combined in the first half, and that one was not a particularly difficult save for Carson Heglund, but the goalies had to keep their heads on a swivel because there were a lot of shots taken that came close to the net. There were 3 of them early from St. Ambrose that all went just over the goal. And there was one from Skidchenko of St. Francis a little bit later as he made a really good run about halfway through that first half and then ended up pushing it wide to the right. But neither team was able to score. 5 shots for both sides total. And a lot of action around the middle of the field as both teams kind of appeared to be mirror images of each other. We'll see if one team or the other is able to establish itself as a little more dominant here in the second half as we are underway with St. Ambrose getting the first touch. They have flip sides. St. Ambrose now going from left to right. St. Francis going from right to left. Slightly cloudier now. The clouds have rolled in, so not as much sunshine, and the sun is setting. Still about 2 hours away from sunset, but a little bit darker on the field right now. I don't know if that'll have any impact on things as the Saints try to make a run here. It's Vega and Skidchenko. Skidchenko takes the shot and drifts it over the net. Out of bounds. It's the third shot taken today by Zakar Skidchenko. None of them have been put on goal. Skidchenko entered play today leading the conference with 56 shots taken overall, averaging close to 6 per contest. And he's got 3 of them today. Nobody on St. Ambrose has taken more than 1 shot. Here comes Tackett for St. Ambrose. Tackett makes the run, passes off to his right. This is Blake Beery down in the corner. Beery has the cross. There's a deflection in front of the net and out of bounds. And we're going to get a corner kick. Corner kick for St. Ambrose. It's their second. It's only the second total corner kick of this game. Like I said, this game has been played a lot in the midfield. Neither team has had too many scoring chances, and so we haven't seen a lot of these, but a chance for St. Ambrose right here. Sent in front of the net, punched away by Carson Heglund towards the sideline, and Isaac Avalos is able to clear it downfield towards Skidchenko. Skidchenko forced to the ground by Lukasic. The ball knocked out by the St. Francis striker. Throw-in goes to St. Ambrose. Good play by Carson Heglund on that last one. That corner kick was sent close enough to the net as this ball is chipped into the box. Tackett heads it into the air, knocked away by the Saints. It's not sent close enough to the net for him to just jump in and catch it, but anytime as a goalie you've got a chance to get involved on a play like that, you want to take it. He had the chance to get involved, and so he took a step up, punched it away. And now another chance for St. Ambrose down close. Some contact in the box, and St. Ambrose wanted a foul called, but they did not get it. No penalty. It was Tackett who was sent to the ground. Light contact. There certainly was contact that got him tripped up, but not enough in the mind of Edmundo Ramirez to justify the penalty. So no penalty kick for St. Ambrose. The Saints get the ball back going the other way. Here's Skidchenko. He takes a shot and scores. 3 minutes into the second half, Zakar Skidchenko snaps the scoreless tie. It's 1-0 St. Francis. Skidchenko has come out fired up here in the second half. 2 shots and his 14th goal of the year. Off of a near penalty on the other end. The Saints quickly take it back. I think that was Diego Cortez who set him up, and Skidchenko just rolled one to the front side of the net past a diving Piercarlo Ricosa. So the Saints are on top. 48th minute goal. And now they'll turn their attention to the defense and try to prevent St. Ambrose from tying it up. Another corner kick here for the Bees. In front of the net and knocked away by St. Francis. There's a collision in the middle of the field. Guys down on both sides, but play continues as the Saints make their way forward. They've got an opportunity with two players here. Lukasik gets in the way. There's a turn, a shot, and a score. 2 goals in a row for St. Francis. First it's Skidchenko. Now it's Sergio Fernandez Arango. It's 2-0 Fighting Saints as we went 48 minutes scoreless, followed by 2 goals in the span of 1 minute. There was a collision early on that play back on the defensive side of St. Francis where Skidchenko and I think it was Ricky Rueda, who's on the ground right now for St. Ambrose, ran into each other. It is Rueda. Rueda and Skidchenko ran into each other. Both men tumbled to the ground. Listen for the whistle. It never came in. It's incidental contact, but both men took a tough shot on the collision. And as play continued down on the other end, Sergio Fernandez Arango set himself up for a beautiful goal to double St. Francis's lead and make it 2-0. But while that was going on, neither Skidchenko nor Rueda were able to pull themselves up, both still down on the ground. Rueda's up and walking it off now, and Skidchenko has just been pulled to his feet as well. It looks like Rueda's going to stay in the game. We'll see what happens with Skidchenko as the training staff exits towards the sideline. It looks like he's going to stay in as well. So all good news for St. Francis. They get a goal and everybody's apparently healthy. What a turnaround here in the second half. Saints didn't even have a shot on goal in the first 45 minutes, and now in the first 4 minutes of the second half they've got 2 of them. These 2 goals came 51 seconds apart. And both players are going to depart because they held up the game due to those injuries. Both men are okay. They just have to take some time off before re-entering the field. Now they're back out there. And play is forced to the sideline and out of bounds. Because play had stopped anyway because of the goal, but the delay continued to deal with those injuries, so they did have to sit out for a moment before they were able to get back in there. So now Rueda is in possession of the ball. He passes it off to his left. Now sent into the box. Heglund steps up, lets that ball come to a stop at his feet. Two to nothing St. Francis. Still a long way to go in this game, but now they're in really good shape. Now looking for their third goal. Bounces into the box, up over the net, and a nice punch by Piercarlo Ricosa to knock it out of bounds. Saints have got their first corner kick of the game. Boy, that was dangerous for St. Ambrose. There were 2 St. Francis attackers right there. Neither one could do anything on the ball because it was bounced too high over their heads, but that almost meant it bounced over Ricosa's head into the net as well. He recovered at the last second and was able to punch it over and out of bounds. So here's the corner kick for the Saints. To the back post. There's the header off the crossbar. Very nearly a third goal for St. Francis. Rueda able to knock it down the sideline as St. Ambrose gets it out of harm's way. And a whistle foul is called against St. Francis. No, against St. Ambrose. Call is reversed. Boy, what a change, though, since halftime. There's been more action in the first 6 minutes here of the second half than we saw in 45 minutes in the first half. And it wasn't a poorly played first half at all. It was just so evenly matched that neither team was able to get that many scoring chances. Here's the kick from Roberto Centino, sent right in front of the net. And now a foul on St. Francis. There's a collision between Ricosa and I think it was Dominic Barwolik for St. Francis, who got in a little bit too deep. Ricosa came in to make the save, and they collided. So Barwolik called for the foul, and it sends things St. Ambrose's way. The Saints take it back on defense. Here comes David Kramer, pushing it off to the right side. Rueda. Centino takes control for St. Francis. Coming along the sideline, he falls to the ground as he runs in to Noah Secor. Play continues. USF takes possession back at midfield. Eric Vega sends it a little bit too far out in front of Skidchenko. Barwolik is unable to keep it alive. Here comes Beerley for St. Ambrose. He is halted by Sergio Fernandez-Arango for St. Francis. Now the Saints make a move to the sideline. It is Barwolik looking to turn it back upfield. And a foul is called on the Saints. It's just under 38 minutes to play here in the second half. It's 2-0. St. Francis has the lead. Both of those goals came in the span of a minute here in the second half. One for Zakhar Skidchenko and one for Sergio Fernandez-Arango. It was their 14th and 6th goals respectively. They rank first and second on the team in that category. And both have added to their totals. Aside from the two of those, nobody on the active roster right now playing today has more than one goal. Contreras and Avalos are the only two other players on the roster who are playing today who have even scored this year. Those two guys have gotten the job done for the Saints, who came into play today averaging 2 goals per game. So offense has not been the problem for them, having won just 3 of their first 12 games this season. Free kick from Rueda is sent into the corner of the box, headed in front of the net, and Isaac Avalos pushes it downfield towards the sideline. Taken back by the St. Ambrose defense. Skidchenko will try to make a run on this. Kramer heads it away from Skidchenko towards the sideline. Tries to box off Skidchenko and finally sends it out for a throw-in. So the fact that the Saints have scored now 26 goals, this is their 13th game, so the average will remain at least the same, if not get better, with 2 goals per contest. But that has not been the issue for them this year when they've had an issue, as it's cleared out of the box by St. Ambrose and knocked towards the sideline out of bounds by USF. Problem has been more defensive for the Saints this year. They've allowed 2.5 goals per game. They've shored that up in conference play. Coming into today, they'd allowed only 5 goals in their last 4 contests. And so far, nothing today. They're about 35.5 minutes away from their second shutout in their last 3 games. I know it's a long way to go, but so far so good. Ball is tapped out of bounds by Jesus Flores. And Noah Secor will get the throw in here. Down the sideline, Hayden Newton up into the air and cleared by Fernandez-Arango across midfield. There's Jacob Mulvihill, who steps in defensively and pushes it forward for St. Ambrose along the sideline. That was deflected out by the Fighting Saints. Noah Secor will throw it in. The senior defender holds it, takes a step back, looking to his right. He lobs it out in front of him, headed right back out of bounds by the Saints. Secor will do it again. With the running start, Secor fires it into the box off the chest of Tackett. Tackett trying to keep it in bounds, and he can't do it. It'll be a goal kick here for the Fighting Saints, who get a chance, a free chance here, to clear it out of the danger zone. Knocked towards the sideline by Mitchell Petrosky and out of bounds. Throw in for St. Francis on the far side of the field, across midfield. Sent in along that sideline for Skidchenko, but it rolls past him and out for a goal kick. Both sides have been a little bit more aggressive here in the second half so far. We've seen more runs on goal. Obviously, that's been reflected in the score, with St. Francis having struck twice now. But both teams just appeared to be a little bit more tentative in the first half. There were some scoring opportunities for both teams. Neither team was able to put a good shot on goal, but a couple just missed. They didn't come as frequently as we've seen this half. We've already seen 4 corner kicks this half after just 1 in the first. Now a run for Tackett. Tackett into the box, takes a shot, and it's just wide to the right and out of bounds. Out of the reach of the diving Carson Heglund. He did not touch that ball as it went by, so it's a goal kick for St. Francis. That's a good shot from Tackett. But wide by several feet to the right. Tried to push it past Heglund. He got that part of it done, but sent it a little bit too far in that direction. Headed by Mulvihill back across midfield. Mulvihill has it sent back his direction. This time he misses it, but it's loose at midfield. And tracked down by Fernandez Arango. Out of bounds to the Saints. Jack Conway steps up from the defensive end to toss the ball in. Along the sideline, off the foot of Skidchenko. He's immediately got 3 defenders around him. Passes off to Fernandez Arango, who runs right into the defender. Taken away by Blake Beery. Downfield, a good run, tapped into the middle. Knocked away from Newton. And controlled by the St. Francis defense. They quickly push it across midfield before it's knocked away and out of bounds. That was hit out by Noah Secor, number 20 in blue. Throw-in belongs to St. Francis, just shy of midfield. Saints holding on to a multi-goal lead. We close in on the half-hour mark remaining in the game. Skidchenko taken to the ground. Tripped over the ball. Play continues. Skidchenko gets it back. That time he was bumped by Kramer and didn't fall to the ground that time, but he wanted the call, didn't get it. Out of bounds on Centino. It has been physical. We saw 13 total fouls called in the first half, and it's been pretty clean in terms of the number of times we've heard the whistle here in the second half. It hasn't happened a lot, but we have seen a lot of very aggressive play. Guys have kind of been falling all over the place. That's deflected back towards the net. Heglund lets it go out of bounds. Diego Hernandez checks in for St. Francis with Dominic Barwolik heading back to the bench. Goal kick from Heglund across midfield, headed by Mulvihill in the wrong direction. Wanted to go straight forward with that. Instead, he pushes it off to the side. And it's out of bounds at midfield. Conway tosses it in overhand to the sideline and tipped right back out. So the Saints are moving down the field bit by bit on these throw-ins. Trying to put this game out of reach with a 3rd goal. Maybe not quite out of reach, but close to it. Knocked out of bounds again by the St. Ambrose defense. Subs coming in for both sides here. Starters returning to the field. Santos Contreras for St. Francis. Rory Hannon back out there for St. Ambrose. The Fighting Bees also bring Spencer Pyle back onto the field. Not a starter, but we did see him in the first half. Contreras quickly gets involved, fighting with Beerley. And Beerley is the one who knocks it out of bounds. The game has essentially been played for the last minute or so on that sideline. Another throw in for the Saints, and Conway sends it into the middle of the field to prevent another one. Headed up into the air in front of the net by Vega and picked up on a bounce by Ricosa. Here's Rueda down the sideline. Rueda can't quite keep it in bounds. Very close. Just barely went over that line. And Rueda's long run is halted by the sideline. St. Francis gets another throw in here. This time from this side of the field. Shy of midfield. Sent in and headed back towards the middle by Blake Beery. Finds Pyle. Pyle pushes it ahead to Tackett. Tackett looking for Hannon. But before we get that, we've got a whistle and a foul. We get a yellow card here, I think. Yellow card given to Jesus Flores of St. Francis. That's the first yellow card we've seen on the Saints today. Ricky Rueda of St. Ambrose was given one back in the first half, so each side has been given a caution. And play goes on. Rueda, free kick into the box. It goes right onto the net, and Carson Heglund picks it up on one bounce. So the free kick does not net any results for the Fighting Bees. Saints push it down the other way. And the Bees knock it out of bounds. A little more action for both goalkeeper in this half. It's been a bad thing for Piercarlo Ricosa. Carson Heglund has been able to handle his job a little bit easier. Has not allowed a goal yet. He's looking for his second shutout of the season. Both of them have come in just a little bit over a week. Before Skidchenko's shot sailed wide there, we had a whistle and a foul against the Fighting Saints. Heglund hasn't been challenged too much here. St. Ambrose has had a few more shots in the second half than they did in the first, but for the most part, it's been pretty harmless. Heglund has had to make a couple of tough efforts on balls that turned out to not be on goal anyway. There have been a few more corner kicks, so he's had to keep his eyes open, certainly, but again, he hasn't been challenged too tremendously in this match. He's just been involved more in the second half. A lot more balls have been on that side of the field. Contreras trying to put one on Ricosa here as he dribbles off to the sideline. Rolls it between two defenders to Vega. Gets it back. Contreras loses it off the first touch that time. Taken away by Joseph Gaither. And then Contreras called for the foul, grabbing him from behind after losing the ball. St. Ambrose at midfield. This is Rueda trying to turn around Fernandez Arango. Nice pass. Gets it to Pyle. Pyle coming back into the middle and across field looking for Toby Beerley. Beerley can't catch up with it. Too far on the pass. It's out of bounds, and the throw-in belongs to the Fighting Saints. Contreras going up against two defenders, and one of those two knocked it out. Just under 25 minutes to go here. It's been about 15 minutes since, about 16 minutes now since the Saints' last goal. They scored them both in the span of 1 minute. Skidchenko in the 48th. Fernandez Arango in the 49th. They haven't been able to add on with too many good opportunities since then. The best chance they've had to score since they put their two on the board was kind of a fluke play, just a high bouncer that came from the defensive end and almost bounced over the head of Piercarlo Ricosa. Ricosa stepped up on that ball, but Kramer knocks it out along the sideline. So the Saints haven't kept that pressure fully on. They haven't really needed to. The biggest thing for them now is defense. Each minute that passes is 1 minute closer to a win, as that one is taken as a shot out of bounds, wide to the right of the net off the header. That makes it a goal kick for St. Ambrose, who makes a couple of substitutions. Mitchell Petrosky was only out briefly. He's back in. Sam Flello, freshman midfielder, is back in as well. Rueda and Gaither are coming out for the Fighting Bees. Contreras hits it high in the air. It bounces right around midfield. Contreras heads it back past Skidchenko. Kramer sends it the other way for SAU. There's Kramer's head once again getting involved, pushing off to the left. And a foul called on St. Francis. Contreras stepped on Toby Beerley's foot there. So Contreras called for the foul. Mulvihill gets the free kick. Into the box. Knocked up into the air, and the Saints are able to send it towards the sideline. So they dodge the first attack from St. Ambrose. David Morsey back on the field. Morsey quickly jumps into play as Noah Secor tosses it into Rory Hannon. Hannon crosses it. Heglund is there to make the catch. Heglund nearly took out Jack Conway in the process. He reached up over Conway's head. Conway 5'10", Heglund is 6'4", so he was able to reach up over his head without knocking him over. Conway ducked a little bit at the end of the play. Skidchenko hassled from behind, ends up losing the ball. Here comes Morsey. Morsey on the sideline. Taken away by Flores. Nice job by Jesus Flores. And now he is tripped up. They'll play on. Pyle cuts it back towards the middle. Pyle, nice run. Keeps it past a couple of defenders. Passed off to the left side. Now into the box. Heglund steps up and dives on top of the ball. Just in front of the run from Justin Tackett. Nice play by Carson Heglund. The shutout remains intact. The 2-goal lead still in place for St. Francis. We're more than halfway through this second half now, as the Saints are bearing down on their 4th win of the year. This will be a big win if they can get it. Move them above 500 in the conference. They've been above 500 before. They picked up back-to-back wins last week against Governor State and Calumet College of St. Joseph, and that moved them to 3-2-1 in conference play as this throw goes into the box, headed away by Mulvihill, out of the box, and Morsey takes control for St. Ambrose. Morsey loses it on a touch up the middle, gets it back though, as he tackles it away from Flores. Sent back to the defense of St. Ambrose and kicked out of bounds by Noah Secor. Again, they were above 500 prior to their 2-1 loss at Olivet Nazarene on Tuesday. So it's not as though this is a hurdle they need to clear. It would just make them feel a lot better to be above 500. It would give them 13 points for the season. Right now, Lincoln and Cardinal Stritch are both undefeated in conference play. Lincoln has 22 points coming into today in 8 games. Olivet 19 points in 7 games. So those two teams that are at the top of the conference have pretty well established themselves ahead of everybody else, but there's a lot of room for maneuvering beyond that. Hunter Foose is in the game for the Fighting Saints. Roberto Centino back on the field as well. It goes through the legs of Diego Hernandez, and it clipped Hernandez on its way out. St. Ambrose possession going from left to right across our screens. Down on the far side of the field, pushed into the middle towards the box. Hannon Taps it to the outside. Now rolled back into the middle. There's a shot that goes out of bounds. Rory Hannon puts his head in his hands in frustration on a missed opportunity right there. Still 2-0 St. Francis, and that's been the story for St. Ambrose today. They've had their shots, but they just have not been able to direct them where they wanted. Carson Heglund has been largely unchallenged in the net. A lot of shots have gone just wide, just high, just something, just not in. And so they continue to chase. We were scoreless at halftime. St. Francis quickly took control in the second half, and it's not as though the Saints have dominated play here in the second half. It's been pretty even once again. But after they got those two early goals, one right after the other, just the whole feel of the game changed. Skidchenko takes another kick and scores. Zakhar Skidchenko takes it away from Noah Secor and scores his second of the match. It's 3-0 St. Francis. It's a good run for Skidchenko into the box, and it looked like it had been halted by Noah Secor, and Secor just kind of missed on the kick. Skidchenko just geared up, took the shot, and put it past Piercarlo Ricosa. So he's got his second of the afternoon. 15 goals now for Skidchenko on the season. Senior from the Ukraine, transferred in from Governor State. He's been magnificent this year. Piercarlo Ricosa has had a rough second half, so he departs. Kai Damagala comes in for St. Ambrose. Damagala is the new goalkeeper for the final 18-plus minutes of this one. And it's not exactly over right now, but 3-goal deficit with 18 minutes to play is a mighty big mountain to climb for St. Ambrose. 2 goals down is a big mountain to climb too, but they really need to turn it up now if they want to overcome a 3-goal deficit. They've got to start scoring in a hurry. They have been able to keep their pressure up going towards that south goal and trying to put one in on Carson Heglund. I was just saying a moment ago, they've had a lot of close calls, but just haven't been able to put them on goal. They've had some good looks that have just missed their target. There's good clearance from the St. Francis D. Kai Damagala waits for that one to come back to him and picks it up. Damagala, a freshman from Germany. Chad Holmer went, I don't know if he went on a trip out there, but big recruiting haul from Germany this year. They've got 4 freshmen who hail from Germany. David Kramer, David Morsey, mentioned Kai Damagala. Here's Rory Hannon. He's from New Zealand. He works his way into the box around a couple of defenders and finally loses possession late down the play. Toby Beerley is the other one who's from Germany. 4 freshmen, as I said, all came in this year together. Mulvihill chases this one down. He gets to it. Nearly lost it to Hernandez. Hernandez keeps working against him, and the Saints are able to take possession. Here's Skidchenko trying to get it through, and he can't do it. Kramer comes up with the stop. Pushed off to the left side. It's Pyle passing to the sideline. Mulvihill sends it across field. Noah Secor. Tapped off for Sam Flello. Going to the far side once again. St. Ambrose continues to work forward. Pyle looking for Tackett. He worked a little bit too far forward there as it was deflected out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for the Fighting Bees, who go back to the bench. Keaton Johnson and Brady Butler are coming in. Flores apparently cleared it there, but the whistle blew. There's a foul called against St. Ambrose. Heglund will step up to take this free kick. St. Francis's offense remains hot after being held to just 1 goal at Olivet Nazarene on Tuesday. They jump back on the scoreboard today with a multi-goal performance. This is the third time in their last 4 games that they've scored at least 3 goals. Here's a run for Pyle into the box. Pyle fakes to the left, now passes off to Hannon. Hannon tries to put himself in position to take a shot. He does, and he scores. Rory Hannon puts one in across the net. Scoring on Carson Heglund. The shutout is gone with 14:53 remaining. The shutout is gone, but still a 2-goal lead for St. Francis. The Saints pull Diego Cortez back in off the bench. So that second goal scored by Skidchenko just moments ago looks even bigger now than it did when it scored. Still a big deficit for St. Ambrose to overcome, down 2. Less than 15 minutes to play. St. Francis gets a throw in here. So we've seen 4 goals here in the second half after the first half came up empty. It was 0-0 at the break. And the last 31 minutes have been a totally different story. An average of a goal every 8 minutes or so. Here's another run into the box. This time it's poked away by the St. Francis defense. Morrissey tries to keep it alive, and he does for the Fighting Bees. Back to Keaton Johnson. Johnson rolls it off to the middle, and Kramer. Now it's Mulvihill on the left side. Mulvihill, ground pass towards Hannon. Hannon was trying to do a quick pass over to Morrissey. He couldn't get it to him, but he's pushed in the back, so a foul called on the Saints. And so now in their attacking side of the field, St. Ambrose Fighting Bees will get a free kick and a chance to cut the deficit to 1. 37 yards out. Kick will be taken by Keaton Johnson. Johnson sends it in. There's the header wide of the net. Stays in bounds for just a brief moment. Hannon can't keep it in. And so as it rolls out, St. Francis sets up for a goal kick. Not a bad ball there from Keaton Johnson. Just didn't have what he needed on the other end of it. Punt bounces off to Kramer, who sends it to Keaton Johnson on the near side. Johnson pokes it ahead. Deflected by Centino. Still alive, though. Now Contreras comes in with the interception. Contreras tries to get it through to Skidchenko. He does. Skidchenko takes it back a step. There's the cross, a little bit behind Hernandez, and St. Ambrose is able to take it away. Fernandez Arango gets it back. He's tripped up, and a foul is called on St. Ambrose. Free kick for the Saints. Just over 30 yards out, dead center here. St. Francis looks to put this game away with their 4th goal. Skidchenko's got 2 of the 3 so far today. He lines up behind the ball. And he tries to put it on goal, but deflects it off the back of one of the defenders and out of bounds. Not sure if that one got Brady Butler or Mitchell Petrosky. Got one of them. And deflected out the back line. So we've got a corner kick now for the Saints. Set up in the corner by Cortez. Here's the approach and the kick. Headed away on the back end. Saints keep it alive. Skidchenko rolls it back into the box. Knocked away again by the defense of St. Ambrose. Here's Hannon off his chest, trying to poke it forward. Knocked out of bounds by Leonardo Haro. Good defense by Haro. Saints quickly get it back, or rather the Bees quickly get it back in play. Down to the box. Heglund lets it roll back into his hands with Sam Flello closing in. Heglund wraps his arms around the ball and completes the play. He lets his team get set up downfield in no hurry as he punts it away. Pyle moving forward for St. Ambrose. Knocked off of his foot out of bounds Another throw in here for St. Ambrose. Put into the air. That ball rolls into the box, and again, Heglund is able to wait for it to come back to him. He falls on top of it as soon as the ball comes in. And Heglund will get to punt it away again. Another stop made by the St. Francis defense, who had a shutout going up until just about 4 minutes ago. And now still have a commanding 3-1 lead with just 10 minutes to play. Skidchenko to the sideline, working against Kramer. Skidchenko still in control of the ball, passes it ahead, gets it right back from Katurba. Now given up to St. Ambrose. Spencer Pyle has it. Pyle dribbles it straight forward. Contreras challenges him, but Pyle keeps control. Passed off to his left. This is Beerley. Toby Beerley into the middle of the field for Butler. Hannon now on the attack. Hannon rolls it ahead, looking for Butler again, but Avalos gets in the way and knocks it out of bounds. Good defensive play by Isaac Avalos. Eric Vega comes back in for the Saints. Mariano Katurba heads out. And Ricky Rueda is back on the field for St. Ambrose. Brady Butler was out there for just a few minutes, and he's right back to the bench. Nice deflection by the Saints defense, and that was Haro who got his back on that ball. And now here comes St. Francis again. Rolled ahead for Skidchenko. Good space for Zakar Skidchenko. David Kramer stays between him and the net, and Kramer knocks it away. Good tackle by David Kramer, keeping Skidchenko from scoring for a third time. Vega will toss it in for the Fighting Saints. Getting late here. St. Francis looks to hold on to this lead once and for all. Into Contreras. Contreras dribbles around Rueda into the box. Contreras knocked off the ball by Kramer. And Johnson sends it back to the midfield circle, and Rory Hannon. Hannon tries to control that ball in front of Haro, knocks it straight into the air, heads it forward, and that's where it's cleared by Isaac Avalos. Hannon gets it back, rolled to the right side. Here's Rueda. Rueda works into the middle. I don't know if that was a shot, but it rolls out to Heglund. Looked like he was trying to pass again to Hannon, and just didn't have him there. So Heglund sends it deep to the other side. Cortez off to Skidchenko. He takes a shot, sails it over the net and out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick for Kai Damagala, but a couple of subs coming in first. Justin Tackett back in for St. Ambrose. Jesus Flores is back in for St. Francis. Just over 7 minutes to play in this one. Fighting Saints have a 2-goal lead. They were up 3-0. St. Ambrose broke up the shutout, but they've not been close to making it a 1-goal game since they put that one in the back of the net. They haven't had too many opportunities. Saints are playing well on defense right now, although the defense that time netted a foul. And a free kick coming up from 15 yards past midfield. Down along the far sideline, it's Ricky Rueda. Rueda plays it short to Toby Beerley. Beerley takes a running start, moves it into the box, deflected back the other way. Beerley heads it towards the box again. Avalos hits it into the air. Everybody waits for it to come down. Flello the first one to touch it when it does. Doesn't go anywhere with it. Flello back in command down on the far sideline. He's challenged and the ball is knocked out of bounds. Beerley throws it in. Headed away by the Saints. Vega knocks it down the sideline. Mulvihill steps in, boots it away, but Saints kick it back in the other direction at midfield. Nobody there. That's valuable time running off the clock as the ball drifts into no man's land for St. Ambrose. Tossed back into Kramer on the defensive side. Under 6 minutes to play. comes Rueda. Working his way down the near sideline. He passes across midfield. Sent the other direction by Flores. And Kramer starts it again from the defensive side. Very late in the game, though, for St. Ambrose. They need more productive attacks each time they're possessing the ball on the defensive side. They've been moving deliberately here. I don't think by design. St. Francis' defense has kind of forced them into it. Stepping back, Avalos kicks it forward towards midfield, taken away by Beerley. Beerley puts it into the air to the near side. This is Keaton Johnson. Over to his left, Rueda. Nice work by Rueda to work around the defender. Now he gets by another one, sends it ahead of him, and Haro steps in to knock that ball out of bounds. Bakari Mbenge is in for St. Francis as Skidchenko heads out for the first time today. Another great game for Zakar Skidchenko. He scores 2 goals today. That's the difference in this one so far. Mitchell Petrosky taps it back. Mulvihill into the box. And I think we got a handball here on Hannon. So with just over 4 minutes to play, the Saints are able to clear it once again. And Mbenge tried to receive that ball, but called for the foul on Mulvihill instead. So a quick free kick coming up for St. Ambrose. Petrosky. Pass was tipped and finds its way back to Mulvihill. To the far sideline, it's Flello working against Contreras. Knocked back to Flello. Flello taps it into the middle. There's a shot for Butler. Knocked down by Heglund, and he falls on top of it. Great play by Carson Heglund. Saints still would have had the lead if that one had gone in, but would have gotten a lot dicier with 3 minutes and 14 seconds on the clock. The clock does stop at 3:14 as there's an injured Saint down. Santos Contreras down on his knees, and he's rolled over onto his back over on the far side. So he'll get some attention over on that side of the field as the Saints hope to avoid any injuries in the final minutes here of what appears to be their 4th victory of the season. If they can just hold on for another 3 minutes. Carson Heglund made a nice save just moments ago. And a good shot from the freshman Brady Butler. Butler had been taken out of the game after only being out there for a couple of minutes, but he was just brought back in. And he got a good shot off. But Heglund deflected it and then fell on top of it to avoid any chance at a rebound. Dominic Barwolik is going to come in for Santos Contreras, but Contreras, who does have a noticeable limp, is walking off the field under his own power, so that's the positive of it. With just 3 minutes 14 seconds remaining in a 2-goal game, it's not likely we'll see him again today. Again, he does have a limp, but he is walking off on his own without any support. So Barwolik is into the game. We'll continue here with St. Francis in possession. Heglund will get the first kick here. Clock starts running once again, and Heglund will take his time running a few extra seconds off that clock. Sent ahead towards Mbenge. Deflected back. Here's Keaton Johnson. Johnson down the sideline for Hannon. Off of Hannon's chest, can't quite keep it in bounds. He did off the initial hit, and then he deflected it off of his left leg, and that's what forced the ball out. Sub for St. Francis. Hunter Foose is in, and Diego Cortez heads out. Cortez played well today. He appears to be done for the afternoon. Going back and forth here. It's been a while since the ball has touched the ground. Now finally Butler pulls it down. Doesn't go anywhere with it as Johnson steps in, sends it downfield. Avalos heads it back towards the near side. Blake Beery rolls it to the outside. This is David Morsey. Morsey down into the corner. Good defense by Centino. Morsey has not been able to get around him. And now he does. Nice ball work to get between two defenders, but the third one steps in, and Haro makes the stop. Down along the sideline, sent back beyond midfield. And Mbenge does a nice job taking that ball off the foot of Kramer and knocking it out of bounds. The ball will belong to St. Ambrose here, but Mbenge stepping in runs an extra 5 or 6 seconds off the clock. We're under 2 minutes. Over on the far side of the field, around midfield, Conway is tripped up. No call there as it goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Saints. Into Hannon, but Flores steps in the way, and Flores clears it for the Saints. Now Vega back to Mulvihill of the defense for St. Ambrose. Butler turns it upfield, back into the middle. Here comes Beery. Blake Beery to the outside looking for Flello, and it's a little bit out of Flello's reach. He stumbles to the ground. 1 minute to play in this one. And St. Francis remains on top by 2. The clock stops. I think Conway was tying his shoe there. So they stop the clock at just over 52 seconds. And Conway throws it back in. Knocked out, and St. Ambrose will get the throw this time. So they move a little bit faster when it's their turn to throw it in, trying not to waste any of this time, but they're running out of time to get 2 more goals. Saints just need to clear it once here, and it should be done. Foul called on the Fighting Saints. It'll be a quick kick from St. Ambrose with the clock running down. Keaton Johnson has it set up. And Bakari Mbenge just stepped in and knocked it away. For some reason, he gets credit for the yellow card there. 17 seconds left, the clock stops. So we'd be about done now. But Mbenge stepped in while St. Ambrose was setting up for the free kick and just poked it away. So Mbenge gets the yellow card. St. Ambrose gets to take their time now on this free kick instead of rushing it. Keaton Johnson has himself in position. Johnson takes the shot low in front of the net, deflected out, and that should do it. It's a goal kick officially here for St. Francis, but I don't think they're going to take it. The clock runs down. It's at 4 seconds. And we will finish this one off with a 3-1 final. St. Francis defeats St. Ambrose, again 3-1. This one was scoreless at the half, but the Saints turned up the offense in the second half. They scored their first 2 goals in the span of 1 minute and then never trailed against St. Ambrose, never allowed the tie from that point on either. The Saints were able to cruise to a victory. It started with Zakhar Skidchenko, who scored the first goal of the game in the 48th minute, just 2 minutes and 53 seconds into the second half. That made it 1-0. And then less than a minute later, I think it was 51 seconds further had gone off the clock. And that's when Sergio Fernandez Arango was able to go on a long run of his own and poke one just past Piercarlo Ricosa and make it 2-0 St. Francis. And that's the way it remained for a long time. And it seemed like Saints were in pretty good shape to get out of here with a 2-0 victory. But they added one later. Zakhar Skidchenko scored his second of the night and the third of the game for the Saints. That made it 3-0. And at that point, it seemed all but over. St. Ambrose did get one final run at scoring at least a goal, and they got on the board late in this one. They got one from Rory Hannon, the senior midfielder, and that made it a 3-1 score. That ended up going on to be the final as the Saints defense held up the rest of the way, including Carson Heglund, who made a couple of nice saves late in this one. So the Saints defeat the Bees 3-1. They improve to 4-3-1 in conference play, up to 13 points now on the conference season. They improved to 4-8-1 overall for the year. St. Ambrose falls to 4-6-2 on the season. They are now just 1-6-1 in CCAC play, and saddled with just 4 points on their standing sheet for this year. Again, 3-1 the final. St. Francis defeats St. Ambrose. Saints are back at it later this week. They've got a couple of matchups against the Trinities going forward. Their next one is this Wednesday. That's going to do it for today's broadcast. St. Francis 3, St. Ambrose 1. Until next time, this is Terry Bonadonna signing off for the University of St. Francis. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.